I wanted to talk
Oh
about
my
capitalism in
god.
general. I just wanted to know, I guess, like why that is the case.
Um, what do you think? I guess when I say immoral, I'm just saying that. Well, I guess it is immoral and I do have a sense of that. But what do you think justifies capital like being privately owned?
What I think justifies an action. I don't really. When I look at actions, I don't really like take categories of saying, "Yo, how is this action justified?" Usually, I look at actions and I say, "How is this action unjustified, and why should we ban it?" That's usually. It's usually because if it
Good
was the
point.
alternative,
Good
I'd
point.
have to look at like all actions and say, "Yo, how is riding a bicycle justified? How do I come at that?" I don't really know what the question means.
Yeah, I think that's if you're starting at a neutral point, but I think capitalists aren't starting at a neutral point. They're not just being capitalists. They think capitalism is good and all and it's compared to its alternative of just capital being publicly owned.
Well, now we're
So I don't
critiquing
I
like
don't
where
think you're
capital.
just like
Sorry, but now we're critiquing like where
no,
capitalists come from, but not really capitalism.
no. It's not about where capitalism come from. I'm saying that when someone is a capitalist, they're not just starting from a neutral starting ground. You're not like an ape that's not like thinking which one is better, socialism or capitalism. I'm saying that at least for the capitalists that I encounter, when they're very strongly capitalist, they make it very clear capitalism is. If you're just wondering why I think capitalism is more, that's fine. I can answer that question. But I'm just going over the fact that most of the time when someone calls themselves, "Oh, I'm a capitalist," they find it as better in some way than the
That's
alternative, is what I'm trying to
true.
say.
Yeah,
But
I
the
think
reason I see it as immoral, go ahead.
I think the reason a lot of capitalists that I'm familiar with, and I agree, like there's like a plethora of different breeds of capitalists, but the ones that I'm most familiar with, they usually have like critiques of alternative economic systems and say, I guess like the coercive nature of alternatives are going to take away from the utility of it or render it worse than capitalism. But I don't even know if they're really saying that capitalism is equal. I don't know if they're saying capitalism is a plus, but they're more so like saying alternatives are just all minuses.
Yeah, it just depends what they see as a minus, and that would be the issue. Like, do you see um, workers' lives, and if we had a way to make workers' lives improve drastically, and the consequence of that is that capitalists are going to be forced to give up their fifth houses, and they think, oh, that's a negative thing because you're forcing someone to do something. Like that's where the disagreement is, not more so just the fact that they see something as a minus or a plus. But I personally, number one, I don't see. Let me give you an analogy. If there's like a community of 10 people living on a farm, and then this community has been collectively talking to each other and living off this one apple tree, and they say, we all agreed on how many apples we need to eat per season in order for us all to survive. And they've been living harmoniously that entire time. And then one day, another person, a random person from another community says, I actually claimed this tree 10 years ago. And then he happens to have guns and he points them at the people and he says, if you want to get something from this tree, you're going to have to trade me something in form of your labor. I don't think anything justifies that. I think that itself is immoral. I wouldn't understand why someone would think that gatekeeping something because you were there first or very other common reasons somehow justifies depriving other people and creating unequal exchanges.
Would you say that the guns are a relevant factor in the analogy? Like, can we operate without the guns? Because I think adding guns would be detrimental towards your analogy. Because like the capitalists wouldn't even say that coercion is.
Huh?
He's saying he's
If
protected by
Okay, so
power.
when it comes to capitalists, we value property rights. Property rights are going to extend towards the body, like whether you have autonomy over your body. So obviously, if you point a gun at somebody and force them to do something that goes against your property rights, the capitalist isn't going to be okay with that. So I'm just saying, if it's okay, would your analogy work if like the guy didn't have guns? Because the capitalist is just going to say, nope, nope, that's not capitalism.
No,
I
look,
don't understand your question. Are you saying Well, you're saying it goes against a principle of property, not a principle of capital, right? Or you're
Yeah,
saying a principle of property is identical to a principle of capitalism?
yeah. I think capitalism, and I think property entails capitalism, and I think capitalism is predicated on property.
And what's your argument for principles applying to absolutely all things and not, you can't like apply a
What,
principle only in a particular situation?
what do you take a principle to be?
I can give you an ostensive definition of a principle. Let me give you an
Yeah, go,
example.
go ahead. Then we just
Killing is
disagree.
wrong.
Okay.
Killing is wrong.
Yeah, I don't take that to be a principle. I kill strawberries all the time. I think I
Yeah,
do
well,
more
you don't
killing
take
in
that
my life.
you don't
Wait,
take that a
wait,
principle for yourself. I'm not trying to guess what your principles are.
Yeah.
You asked me what the category of principle is.
No, I wanted like a set of conditions, either necessary or sufficient, to like identify whether something is a principle or not, or even just categorize what
Well,
a principle. Like, what do you
that's not
mean
what
when
you
you say
just
principle?
disagreed with. That's not what you
Wait,
just disagreed with. You said
yeah,
that's not a principle for me, not in the sense of a principle in its essence.
yeah. I thought you were taking like a principle, like killing is wrong as a principle, and then I thought you were going to get me to agree that yeah, that there's a principle that
No,
corresponds to
no,
reality
no,
that I
no, no,
identify
no,
with, and
no,
then you're going to like
no,
show a
no, no, no,
contradiction in
no,
the
no, no,
principle.
no, 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 no. A principle seems like actually it's very hard to define extensively a principle. I think just
bro. Can I
ostensively,
listen?
it seems it's principles seem to be categorical reasons towards something, I would
I
say.
don't I don't believe
Like
in
like
categorical reasons. Like I would stay from the word reason, because that implies some sort of conductivity, but principles aren't really conducive towards end goals that are just like categorical.
the end goal may not be categorical. That's not the point. The point is that I'm trying to describe what a reason, the category of reason or category of principle is. When someone says that I have a principle, it seems like they're holding towards some consistent reason. Like my principle, what is your principle for believing that unaliving 4-year-olds is wrong? It seems like what the person is asking for is a coherent reason, like a non-contradicting reason, or a
Okay. So,
reason that applies in various circumstances. Seems like that's what they're asking for.
okay, so this clarification is definitely needed, because it now sounds like we're using some sort of like a rudinistic counter principle, even like Eastern philosophy. Like, I have principles, man has principles, you should abide by those principles, etc. But I was thinking more of like logical principles. So, which so you're using the former, right? And we'll repeat the question.
Wait, but
Correct.
even
Correct.
logical principles don't hold in all instances.
Yeah, sorry, repeat that.
Yeah, even
Wait,
logical
what?
principles don't hold
Uh,
in all instances.
I can't hear what you're
well,
saying.
I don't know if that's what he's saying now. I don't know what
Yeah,
you're saying at all anymore. Just define what you mean by principle.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's probably going to be representative of something that applies in all cases. Like, that's just what I took it to be.
yeah, you're gonna take us some
That's
categorical.
extremely similar to what I said. Something that's
Wait,
categorical.
wait. You said give me an example, or like the question is like I think you like asked for like a principle that wouldn't apply in like all cases, or like I think you'd um
No,
no,
no.
No,
earlier
no, he
earlier
I
you
said
said
you
it's like
something
said that
that's
no, he
you,
said it's
you
like a
you said something along
categorical
the lines that
reason.
like principles are capable of like not being applied in all cases, and I was like, wait, what
No,
do you
no,
take a
no, no,
principle to
no.
be?
That's
Because
not what.
because
That's
in
not
my
what he
head,
said.
when
No,
when I when
he
I
said
started asking you
no.
what a principle was, is because I assumed that principles were just like categorically
Let
applicable
me
in all.
explain. Let me explain, Lucario, bro. That's really what I said. Like when I said something categorically, I'm saying that when someone had like even in a logical sense or in a moral sense, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Like when someone says, why do you think unaliving 5-year-olds is wrong? And they bring out a reason which itself can apply in all circumstances, then
Yeah,
that's what I meant by categorical, and that's what you just said by
yeah.
principle.
The
What I'm
reason I
asking
asked.
for,
All right.
what I'm asking for is I'm saying the categorical norm or the principle that you're talking about. I'm saying when you apply it to yourself at one point, why does it have to be applied at all points? Like you're saying that somehow implying that that's is a problem somehow because if I hold like autonomy towards myself, you're saying there's a problem if I don't hold it towards uh, like objects.
Wait, I'm not saying that. Like, the principle could isolate a certain case. Like, the principle would just be that you have autonomy towards yourself, and then from that you have autonomy towards yourself
Yeah,
alone.
that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying, yeah,
Okay, so
that's
when
exactly what
you
I'm
when
saying.
you
But it
ask like
seemed
why
like the
should it
language you
apply in
were
all
using.
cases, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's just going to be like if the principle was you should hold autonomy yourself in rocks, then yeah, obviously you're going to have to hold autonomy to yourself in rocks in all cases if that's the principle that you're operating under. So when you say principle, we agree on the definition of principle, but I just don't know what the question means. It just seems like trivial.
No, well, one, we didn't clarify when we said principle, what were we talking about? When someone says principle, I think more often than not, they're talking about a general rule, not even like a categorical one. But I got the I knew you were implying that you meant a categorical rule. That's why I brought up categorical rules as principles. But what I'm saying is when you apply a rule to one thing, and I'm in that sense, it's more of like it becomes more of like a tool, like a hammer. And you're saying this hammer applies to myself, and then I'm like, okay, and then you're saying this hammer applies to objects, which is like extending to capitalism. I'm saying why? That's what I'm really asking you.
Okay, to
Well,
the
how about
principle
this?
of property right?
Let's not use the word. Let's not. Whenever it gets more into a word thing, I like to just get rid of the word. So let's get rid of the word principle in capitalism and communism. And let's try to describe this in different ways, right? Why what, in my analogy about the guns, why is that problematic for you?
Okay, so I think it's problematic for me, and I guess if we're talking about capitalism, more so it's problematic for the capitalist who believes in property rights. It seems like if you have like if your economic system is predicated on property rights, then I'm pretty sure that most capitalists are going to count your body as property. At least like the smart ones are the ones I'm referring to. So if you use the threat of coercion or a threat of like establishing like an unjustified claim over property, which is what you do when you point guns at people and make commands, that's what you do. That goes against the autonomy or principle, or that goes against the principle of autonomy with respect to its property rights. So the capitalist, at face value, when you ask the analogy, this is why I'm asking if we can get rid of it, because the capitalist is just going to disregard the analogy at all and say that's not a critique of capitalism. That's not even applicable.
I asked you to don't use the word capitalism or principle or categorical.
I thought
Um,
we were just like getting rid of the principle. So I'll just replace the words. I'll just replace what I said. I'll try to do this. When when the person who disagrees with socialism, communism, and all other economic systems, except for some sort of laissez-faire representative, um, what they value is some sort of what's a good word? They value some sort of categorical norm, and that categorical norm entails a justified means of ownership over an external resource. And
yeah,
when they
okay, let's
have
stop there. Let's stop
justified
there. Let's
ownership
stop
over
there.
an external resource, sorry,
Let's
you
stop
told me to
there
get rid
about
of like
that.
basically all the only good words in the sentence.
No, actually, I thought that was very helpful when you got rid of those words. So let's stop there. You're saying that a capitalist is holding a categorical norm? That's what you're
Yeah,
saying?
at least I think you know what categorical norm means in this context. I'm not saying it's like a mind independent
Correct.
categorical norm, but
Correct.
I'm talking about a principle.
And yeah, and you're saying that private property, we can't have a concept of a society with private property dominated by profit that isn't categorically upholding rights in
I don't
that
think that's what
sense.
I'm saying.
That's what
I don't even know what you said, to be honest.
you're saying, that they're going to reject that this is capitalistic because to them, capitalism is economics, a system which includes this categorical norm of um,
Property,
ownership.
ownership,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
property.
yeah. Okay, so in the
And what
analogy,
what I'm saying, what
I don't
I'm
even know
saying
if you
is,
remember the analogy, to be honest. So there's a condition in the analogy that you added, and I was wondering if
I
we could just get rid of the condition because it's not even applicable towards capitalism.
yeah,
Is it possible
no,
to get rid of the
I understand.
contradiction?
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to break down this first, and then we'll get to that because now it just seems like a semantical thing. Like if we don't use the word capitalism, it seems like the society that I'm describing isn't really going to conflict with your principles anymore. What you're saying is that I'm just holding a categorical norm that, well, let's not say you, let's just say for the sake of the argument, all these people that you're talking about, they're saying I'm just holding a categorical norm that if I want to apply this idea of property rights to absolutely all things, right? And I'm saying, okay, why, right? And that seems like the disagreement's going to be there, not in whatever labels we want to disagree upon. And I think if a person were to concede, oh wow, maybe we shouldn't apply it to absolutely all things, And it seems like we could still have a strong concept of capitalism, whatever you want to call it, that stigmatized word. But you're just saying, well, that is not capitalism, and it just seems like a semantical thing.
Yeah, so I guess we can get into the normative ethical framework of the capitalists respectively, but mostly I think this is
I'll
like
answer your question now.
no,
Sorry, I didn't answer your question.
go ahead.
Uh, no, I think capitalism, well, at least the concept I have in mind when I think of that, I think of the, uh, I think it's, you can't operate without a police or a military, which is the gun example. I don't think that you can have that in that sense. I think that if there wasn't police or military, you'd have revolution right away.
And yeah, I think like a lot of capitalists are gonna abolish the police and they're gonna replace it with an REA or something. But the distinction
That's the
between
same thing.
but wait, the distinction between an REA in your example is because in this example you said that he comes back to take the tree, he has a bunch of guns, he proceeds to point the guns at the people and make demands. Rather than just like offering compensation. There's a clear distinction between offering apples and then making demands at gunpoint.
Making demands at gunpoint. I don't think so. I think that if the only way that the people can survive is by eating those apples, then the capitalist doesn't have to ask. The people are just going to go do it, or else they're going to die.
Okay, good. So we can. So the answer is yes. We can get rid of the gunpoint example, right? Because they're gonna die. They're gonna die either way, right?
Yeah, but my point in adding the guns is that the people are just going to revolutionize and kill him if that's not the case.
Okay. Well, we can get to like
But
the
according
applied
to
ethics
you,
later.
that would be a violation of his
Yeah,
property rights,
that
right?
would.
Even if he was starving them.
Yeah. So there's like a couple theories of like I don't know if like you're familiar with like too many concepts of John Locke's theory of property, but essentially, I think it's
Yes.
something that most capitalists intuitively hold. I think
I
it's
think you
wrong.
might as well. I think you might as well be a fucking communist if you're gonna say that you have to leave just enough for people to fucking live. That like what?
Yeah.
That seems. Then it gets into why did you draw that line? Why? And it seems like it seems like you hold principles of like a socialist, but you just want to uphold.
Wait, hold the
Then
what
your
sort of
private
questions?
property. Then your private property argument seems to become weaker. Like, okay, you have private property in all instances except for when no one is able to live.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue because we look at the reason property is even a thing because like property is just like a random abstract. It's just a random concept. Why do capitalists value property? Because it conforms with your necessary conditions of flourishment. What are these conditions? These conditions are life, autonomy, and property. So we're giving these three conditions. We're going to value life. We're going to value
Bro, this is
autonomy.
like such
We're
a
also going to value property
Randian fucking
because these are necessary conditions for your flourishment. They're necessary conditions for your
property.
life as an individual.
Property is a necessary. Okay, so, rephrase that by saying some instances of property are necessary for my life of flourishment.
Well, it's true. I mean, I don't know if if I have to get rid of all property. I'm not saying
Yeah,
all
if
property is
someone else
necessary.
owning a property is gonna kill me in some indirect way, that's not for my flourishment.
Yeah, I'm not saying property is just like inherently conducive towards your flourishment. I'm saying it's a necessary
Then
condition.
why
It's
don't you
not
say that?
sufficient. It's not conducive inherently. It is necessary though.
Yeah, some instances of property are necessary for my
Yeah, I never
progress.
said that all instances of property are necessary. That's
I
not
just
what I'm
want to make
saying.
it clear because it seems like sometimes we leave
I don't
out
know why we're
things
making it clear. It's
in
pretty
order.
obvious.
Well, because you were talking about things and being categorical before, and I want to make it clear that when we talk about principles, they're just generalized.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
an
when we talk about things like capitalism, it's not like just because I believe in property in some instances of what you see as property, then therefore I'm going to have to apply it to absolutely all things, and neither should you.
yeah. So I'm honestly bouncing back and forth whether I want to even say that capitalism being a necessary is a principle requirement or like just empirical. Do you think it's possible to live without property? Like logically possible? If we want to get into
By
like
pro
semantic, yeah, because like your body is your property. You necessarily have to own
if what
yourself.
you mean by that is I own my body, yeah, I think I own my body
But I'm gonna frame that. I think it's
in
just
a
like an
very
empirical
colloquial
thing.
sense.
Yeah, I think
What
yeah.
did you
I'm
say?
gonna refrain back. I'm gonna say that I think property being necessary is more of an empirical claim. I think somebody can own your body and you can still live. So yeah, we're looking at the empirics of it. We're looking at regardless. We're looking at the necessary conditions, and it is true that property is necessary. If you don't like, if you can't get water, then you're not gonna live. If you can't get food, you're not gonna live. These are instances of property
Property.
that are necessary. You'd agree with that. So
But
I
it
don't even
seems
know
like
why.
water. Well, I don't know. I want to make it clear before we move. Because when you say property, it seems you're saying that there's a claim towards water is necessary for living. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I think acquisition of water or acquisitions of properties. Yeah,
Anything that's no, I'm asking you what is really I'm asking you what is property itself? Like what is that category? Are you just saying it's the acquisition of that's what makes something property or entitlement to that's what makes something property?
moral entitlement towards like an external resource.
Moral entitlement to an external source? No, I don't think you need that to live.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I even forgot the end goal. I've been tripping up on like other conditions. Yeah, it's not necessary towards like I think like the moral entitlement isn't necessary to live because it's something that just like force feed you food and like say it's not yours but I'm force feeding it to you. That could
True.
be the case, but that's necessary
Or they
for
could just
life.
give it to you and say
Yeah.
it's theirs.
Yeah, but that's necessary for life. But well, not life. That's not necessary for life. But life is just like another condition. I'm actually conflating right now. The end goal is flourishment, and so I think it still rates true that if you live a life where you don't own anything, yeah,
Flourishment.
I'm gonna say you're probably not gonna flourish. And I don't care. I don't care too much about the empirics. Honestly, I might even appeal to common
Maybe.
sense at this point.
Well, I don't think. Well, you're saying in the world, from what I've observed, and then you're saying I don't think a person would flourish. I think then it's not more fruitful to talk about property, but instances of what is flourishing, not holding on to property.
The prerequisites
And
of
I think that
flourishment.
obscures things.
Yeah, the prerequisites.
No, because you're no, you're saying I'm just going off what you said. You said when I look at people in the world, it seems like when they have property, they are flourishing. But you're not saying that it's categorical. And I'm saying, well, you may be right about that, even as a general principle. And I'm saying, well, if that is just a general principle and it seems like we're disagreeing with each other on that thing, then it just be more fruitful to talk about what is flourishing and not just hold on to property because property doesn't entail flourishment.
I guess we can define what we mean by flourishment. We could just call that
I don't know,
some sort of maximization of desires.
a maximization of desires.
Maximization,
I
yeah.
don't, I don't know what that means. What?
Or you can see some. Well, we have like maximization with respect to like some sort of threshold, and then desires is just going to be some sort of cognitive application of values, and then values is just going to be something that
So
enters the keep.
you're saying the most people getting the most amount of what they want. That's what you're saying. It's flourishment.
I guess, yeah, something that's like virtuous. Like I can employ some sort of like Nicomachean ethics into it, but at face value, essentially what I'm saying.
I don't think that's true.
You don't think? Well, maybe we take
Because I think
flourishment.
by flourishment, it seems like you're saying this falls under the category of flourishment, not, and it's not identical to flourishment. So, like, if you're saying it's identical to flourishment, then it's not normative. Like, flourishment isn't a normative category. But it seems like you're saying when we maximize the amount of values total, or when we maximize the amount of desires a person can achieve total, then that is a good thing. It seems like that's what you're saying. Is
I'm
that what
not
you're
saying
saying?
that flourishment is like categorically normative, but I can give an argument of why it ought to be normative. And because, like, to be honest, when we say normative, we're just talking about like conductivity with respect towards an end goal. Like, what you should do. What you should do is something that is conducive towards an end goal. Like, if I want to get to school on time, I should take a car. It's like as a normative statement because I
Oh, I
should do it.
disagree. No, I disagree. I disagree completely.
Well, I can give the
You're
argument.
describing a
Maybe you can give your
you're
objection.
describing a
Sorry.
hypothetical norm, not like normativity itself.
Uh,
Normativity is just with value judgments, and it seems like that's distinguishing from what you're describing about because I reject the hypothetical norms are normative at all because you can just replace the word ought with have to or necessarily, and
yeah,
it
it's
doesn't.
conducive.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I'm saying.
it's not normative in the sense. Do you think when someone says you ought not kill your mother, they're implying can?
They're implying no. When I say that you ought not to do something, I'm saying that it's
Yeah.
it's detrimental towards your end goal.
No, I understand that. When someone says you ought, but I'm asking you specifically, when someone asks you ought not kill your mother, are you implying that they have the ability to kill and to not kill their mother?
No, I feel like I told you what I mean by odds.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's not conducive towards their end. I don't understand why you use the word ought. Like you'd also use the word shouldn't. You should not kill your mother. You're implying that, or at least the language you're using seems to imply that when you're telling someone they shouldn't do something, that means that you have the ability to or to not. And in my opinion, you should not.
Okay, wait. So, okay, here's the distinction. Because when you say, when you take the statement, you ought not kill your mother, what you're really saying is that you're valuing whether it is the case that you ought to kill your mother, and whether you shouldn't kill your mother, or like whether you should kill your mother. Um, in the first example, whether you should kill your mother, ought implies can. If we accept that, then we have to like necessarily say that you can kill your mother. But if it was the case that like you can't kill your mother because she's like some sort of like she's some like Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt or something, and you like literally can't kill her mother, it's still true that you ought not kill her, because all we mean when we say that you ought not kill her is just that the absence of like all we mean when we say that you ought not kill her is that uh it's not the case that you ought kill her. So that's it's still it's not the
No,
question of whether you can or not.
that wouldn't make any sense if there's no choices.
There's
At
no
least the language you're using, and unless you're saying it in a hypothetical norm, which seems that you're saying all of the other instances in hypothetical norm. When you said if you want to go to the store and the only way you can go to the store is by taking a car, then you ought to take a car. Then that sentence, that's not informative by saying then you ought to take a car. You're just saying then you have to take a car. And then there seems to be no distinction between descriptions and prescriptions anymore.
wait. There is a distinction between like you ought to take a car and whether you have to take a car.
Okay, so give your example about going to the store in a case where I can't replace the word ought with have to.
With half. Okay, so when I say ought, or ought is like synonymous with should, but my concept of should is something that is either necessary or conducive. So like you can still get to the store. It's not like a prerequisite to take a car in order to get to the store. You can still get to the store with other ways, but there are better ways for you to get to the store, and like those better ways are going to be more conducive, and they would meet my conditions for being oughts. That's not a
Yeah,
half.
I understand what you're saying. Now, yeah. Now it's a value judgment. When you're able to make other decisions, notice how there's not only one decision. You're saying, in my opinion, it's better to go. But now, if you mean better by faster or more efficient, it no longer becomes a not because then it's replaceable with because you'd get to the store faster. That's a fact. That's then you're not making a distinction between normativity and descriptiveness anymore, and you're still caught back into that loop.
Wait, we can say that. Well, I guess we can like psychoanalyze what it means. But we could analyze what conductivity is. We could go down that road. But I think it's pretty intuitive that taking a car is more conducive towards getting to a store than walking.
Now, I'm not disagreeing with you, but by conducive, you just mean you'll get there faster.
Okay, so we are psychoanalyzing what conductivity is.
Is that not what you mean?
No, not necessarily, because there could be other metrics of
Uh,
what conductivity is, like maybe getting to the
I don't know what
store.
you mean then.
Sorry, maybe
I don't know
getting
what
to
you
the
mean.
sorry, maybe the metric is like getting to the store first. But that wouldn't necessarily mean you have to get faster. It could be
Then
like
that
getting to the
then it
store.
becomes a fact. Then it's descriptive.
Wait. It could be getting to the store last. It could maybe it just means that you
Those
could.
are all facts.
There are
Yeah, those are all
there are other
descriptions.
metrics. Yeah, we're describing what is conductive. I don't see an issue.
But by conductive, you just mean that there's a fact about reality which can be described as like it's necessarily true that like if I say it's more conducive if I want to go to the store first and be there last that I walk because it's slower. I'm just that sentence could be translated to if you want to get to the store last, then the most efficient way to do that is by walking because then you'll get there slower. And there's no normativity in that. And you're trying to act like you're have normativity in your hypothetical norms, and
There's no
hypothetical norms don't
normativity.
have
Okay, so there's no
no.
normativity in that. So I
Well,
we yeah,
explain to me the distinction between if I were to just tell you about a fact like a descriptiveness. If I tell you that if I fall off this table, I'm going to break my leg, and let's say that that's 100% accurate. Is that normative or descriptive to you?
it's descriptive.
Okay, what's the distinction between that and me saying uh, it's if I want to go to the store the fastest way possible, you the only way to do that is by taking a plane. Is that normative or descriptive too?
It's normative. It has normative properties of the description. I don't think.
What's the
Wait. I don't
distinction?
see a
What's
distinction.
the distinction?
Okay, wait. I don't. Okay, I actually don't see a contradiction saying that because I just take normativity to just be
I'm
central.
asking you what's the distinction? Because you said
Yeah,
one
that's
was
dumb.
Yeah,
normative.
because
You said one.
one involves the conditions of normativity. I feel like you know my definition of conductivity right now.
That's just begging the. But he's
Yeah,
asking why
that's
though,
that.
right?
Yeah, because
Yeah, I'm asking you what's the symmetry breaker between the first example and the second example, and why is one descriptive and the other is not?
first one is descriptive, and the second one has Okay, repeat the second claim actually. Go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
saying what's the symmetry breaker between the first one being descriptive, and I'll explain
Oh,
my
he wants to
example
hear the
again.
second claim again.
I want to hear the second one.
Yeah. The second claim is if I want to go to the store and be first place, then the only way I can do that is by taking a plane.
Yeah, because it meets the conditions of having an end goal in conductivity with respect to the end goal. That's what I mean by normativity. It meets the conditions. Like so now you're just asking, okay, here's an example of something that doesn't meet your conditions of a definition. And then here's another example that does meet the conditions of your definition. Which one meets your definition? But that's what I mean by your definition. A definition is a set of conditions. So if you set the set of conditions in one scenario, then obviously I'm going to say that one scenario meets a set of conditions.
Yeah, I don't understand. You're just saying that, but it seems like traditionally, or at least very commonly in the literature, that what you're describing isn't found. That when someone describes normativity, they're describing a value judgment. And in the case of a value judgment, implying that it could not be otherwise, or it could be otherwise, in the sense that if I value cake, then I could have or could not have had valued cake. And it seems like that is the common sense of normativity, even in the colloquial sense of language. And it seems like what you mean by normativity is like a very weird Randian redefining of a bunch of words so that you can call a bunch of stuff objective, or like morals objective and things like that. Is that what you're doing? Is that you're getting your stuff from Rand?
Oh, okay. I don't want to out myself, but I'm trying to read more of Rand right now, but I don't. No,
Oh
genuinely,
my
I don't.
God, that's
Well,
disgusting.
okay, yo, whoa, just stop. But no, I promise
Read
you'll
a
see.
real philosopher.
No,
Come on,
Read a
Lucario.
book.
no, I am reading. I'm
What are
reading
you, an adult?
right now. There's just like I don't see
Bro,
any other compelling
Rand just
argument.
redefines a bunch of things, and her epistemology is trash. She's a
No,
direct
wait,
realist.
okay,
Jake
just
Cook
like
is a
stop
direct
harassing
realist.
me. You're honestly gonna get banned for like bullying and harassment. You're like harassing me right now. But
Bruh,
alright,
this
what
man
is
said
your,
I'm harassing him.
what is your definition of normativity? Because like honestly, I need to like I don't want to like be super pedantic, but like when you're evaluating like
Yeah, I think normativity. Well, I'm not going to give you an extensive definition, but I think, generally speaking, when we talk about normativity, the main way that we identify something being normative as opposed to it being descriptive is that descriptions just tend to deal with facts, or just saying something is like true in a necessary sense, like saying this is made of water. And I'm saying, I'm not implying that it could or could not be made of water, not in an epistemic sense, but in the sense that if it is the case, then it could not be otherwise. And it's not dependent upon my stance. And it seems like when we talk about normativity, we're saying, um, if I have an opinion that I ought to do this, it seems like I could decide not to do this and go a different way, and it doesn't affect the truth of anything there. Like if I say, if what your example when you said, if I want to get to the store the fastest way possible, then I should take a plane. To me, that if that sentence can be translated to, if I want to take the plane the fastest way possible, then the only way to do that is to take a plane. It's like I'm describing something and not putting on a value judgment onto anything. Prescriptions seem to deal with value judgments. But if you said something else, like we said before that, where you said, if if you want to go to the store, there's a couple options. There's a car, walking, a plane, and a bus. And personally, I think you should take the bus. And I'm not talking about getting there the fastest, what blah blah blah. I'm just making a value judgment. Then that's normative, because it could have been otherwise. And there's no. It seems weird when we talk about normativity without ought implying can. That's what I'm really saying.
sorry, do you think there's like a contradiction with our definitions of normativity? Like do you think like ours are exclusive between each other?
No, I just think it's a bad faith definition.
Definition?
Yeah, I think it's an attempt to use stigmatized words as like weapons, like objectivity, ought.
No,
And I think because ought and objectivity are like stigmatized in the sense that we would rather have objective morality rather than subjective morality, or we when we're talking about ought and it's very commonly used in a different way, then we can apply those rhetorically towards a person talking in a different sense. And I think that's what you're doing.
I don't. I think mine. Honestly, I think mine corresponds with reality better. Because I don't really. Because your definition, honestly, the most I got from it was just like value judgment or like value assessment. But I don't think that really tells me too much. I think the same critique could also apply to yours. Like we're just like describing like what your values are. Or like we're describing like. Because honestly, I don't even know like what metric you're using to like describe your values. It seems like so random. Um,
No,
even like
let's just say no. I don't think that's relevant. Like it can be a factor. It can just be my psychology. It doesn't matter. My point is that what I take most people to be saying when they use the word ought or should not is that they're implying can. I think that is overwhelmingly how we use that language, and that's how it's used in the literature. And I think that a redefining of it, I also don't understand this idea that I think it corresponds to reality because definitions are all just contextual. I don't understand that claim, but we can throw that away. And I still don't understand why someone would use that should in such a way that blurs the line between how like 99% of people are making a very wide line between normative and descriptiveness in terms of value judgment versus non-value judgment. Like, there's no value judgment in saying that if I want to go to the bus, I have to walk there. There's no value judgment in that terms of that.
you're judging your values, and like, what are you going to do to achieve your values? I think that
Do you,
encapsulates what normativity means. Or, like,
oh, I think you're just playing with words now, like on purpose.
That's my bad.
I
But
can't
I
hear
think,
you. You sound like a fishbowl, bro. I can't hear
wait,
you,
hold
bro.
on, hold on.
There, you're better. You're much better now.
But yeah, no, I totally begged the question for a second. Just ignore that. Then I didn't say that. I think when you're judging your values and you're gonna make decisions on what you're going to do. Your actions, you can only ever do what you value, right? Because I mean that's like basic praxeology. You can only ever act towards your values, and so when we're talking about normativity, like what you should do, because I mean you can agree that normativity has something to do with what you should do, right?
Yeah, but I think that's meaningless now.
Okay,
If
okay,
me and
good.
you agree on that word, I think
Well,
I
yeah,
think
that's all I
the
needed.
only agreement.
Sorry, that's all I need. Because like when we're talking about like what you should um, do you disagree with my definition of should? Because then if we take the concepts of like my definition of should and then my application of do, like your actions, I think my definition it's almost like it's almost synonymous with those two words in conjunction.
I think this is why I say I don't understand moral realism. But when someone says shit to me, I think what they're saying is projecting their emotions, their preferences, or they're about to give motivating reasons too,
Wait, do
in
you
accordance with
think
their
I'm
preferences.
describing moral realism?
No, 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 no. Because okay, if you're the reason I had to get more realism out of the way is because if I were to say this to a moralist, they'd be like, "That's not true." When I say should, I'm just identifying an aspect of reality, not in the sense that you have been describing, but in a different sense, in a sense of like um, a value judgment that's external in this. And I don't even think that makes sense to you either. But
Yeah, no,
there's like
I
externalists. There's
understand.
externalists about value judgments,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
get
why
the
I had to
thought
get
about
that
it
out of the
too.
way.
Yeah, those get on my
What
nerves too.
But that's why I talked about more realism because there's different opinions on what someone is doing when they say you shouldn't do something, and the normativity there, where that comes from. Most people agree that it is truth apt when they say you shouldn't, or at least people think they're projecting uh, their truth seeking. But the secondary part is what is actually happening. Are they just projecting their emotions, or are they identifying an aspect of reality? Um, and what I'm saying is if if what we mean when we say a should is someone can or cannot, And it just, to me, it just seems to be a projection. Like, don't kill your mom seems to be like, in this situation, you could or could not kill your mom, and I would prefer if you didn't do that. And it seems like when we talk about morals, we're just talking about motivating reasons. Like, I'm going to give you motivating reasons why you shouldn't kill your mom, because you have the option to do so or not to do so. And it seems like that's what normativity is all about. Normativity is about providing those motivating reasons towards the option.
Sorry, like whenever I hear like an opposing definition or like even a negation of my definition, I'm usually gonna expect some sort of contradiction between the two, but I don't see one. I don't see a contradiction
No, I'm not
between.
saying there's a contradiction.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
going to be no
Well, just real quick.
contradictions in
Wait, just
definitions.
real quick. One, I
There's
definitely don't see a
definitions.
contradiction. And two, it seems like we're trying to like. It seems like we're basically saying the same thing with just like different words. Like when I say conductivity, you're gonna replace it with like value judgment.
No, 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 no. What you're saying is not the same, because you don't see normativity as a field of, or morals as a field of motivating reasons. That's not how you see it. You're
That is how
saying,
I see it.
when, no, when you say you shouldn't, if you want to go to the store, you have to take a car. That's not motivating reasons, because motivating reason implies can and cannotness. So if I do want to go to the store, it is a fact of the matter. I don't have a choice on whether I can take a car or other things. So there's no motivating reasons. There's no chance for us to discuss what I think you should do and provide a motivating reason for that.
Wait, I think you're like encompassing the end goal in this, but I mean, well, I'm just regarding the end goal. We're talking about your actions here. When we're talking about morality or like normative ethics, talking about what you should do in this situation. So, given the end goal, we're talking about motivating reasons why you should take a taxi to get to school or something. We're talking about why you should not kill your mother if you want to like have a happy life, if you want to have a flourishing life, or
No,
it's
I
like,
think I understand what you're saying, but I don't, it's not the same. When you say motivating reasons, you're not saying like facts that are loaded with normativity in a sense. That's different than just saying the fact itself. When you're saying because to in your sense there's no internal or external motivations at all, and that's why I'm saying you're just denying normativity as a whole, because there's no distinction between internal and external motivations. Like, some people believe that just by stating a fact of the matter, it gets someone up and gears them towards doing something, and that's someone saying that's internally motivating. But that's wholly separate from saying if you want to go to the store you have to take a car. Then to you there'd be no loadedness of having to do something, not in a descriptive sense, but in a valued sense. It doesn't bring valueness, because valueness implies canness and cannotness, and you don't have an option, because what you're talking about, you don't have an option on whether you can take anything or not value it. If you value this, uh, that's not a thing under your view.
sorry, are
Your
you
view is just about facts of the matter and not valueness
sorry? It
or
doesn't.
normativity.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like we're trying to get rid of like connectivity, but are we trying to get rid of the end goal in my definition? Like, is the end goal like the problem? Like saying if you want to get to school, then you should do X. But like whenever you
Well,
say
you're
that,
just describing a hypothetical norm. That's what
yeah,
you're.
but no,
You know what that
that's
is,
what I'm
right?
saying. No, that's what I'm saying. Whenever you say that you have like motivating
Yeah.
reasons, well, okay, what do you mean by reason? If not with respect towards an end goal that is hypothetical, they're inherently hypothetical.
Hold up. Give me a second.
Yeah, just what like when you say motivating reasons, I don't know what reason mean at this point.
Hold up. What the fuck? Okay, I think by end goal, are you saying if you want to go to the store? Are you saying that I'm saying anything that's stance dependent isn't normative? Because that is what I'm saying. Is that what you're saying?
Um, well, not really. So wait, you're denying that stance
No,
is
not
dependent?
stance. Sorry, not stance dependent. Sorry, not stance dependent. Like anything that if you establish a goal, are you saying that goal itself is what you're calling normative? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
no, that's not. I'm saying like normative is. It's a conducive relationship between your end goals and your actions. That's what I take normativity to be.
So you're saying normativity is you're saying is pointing out a fact of the matter of what I have to do if I want to achieve something? That's what you're saying?
If you take like conductivity to be a fact, which I guess so, then yeah.
Is that not what you take it to be?
Yeah, that is what I take it to be. But I think I'm trying to categorize it as like more realism. That's the whole thing. Like the stances are still mind dependent. It's still like there's still
What
fluctuating reasons to
what did
believe.
you say?
No, I don't want you to like categorize my definition as like presupposing moral realism. But I just want to be very clear
No,
whenever.
I don't think it's more realism because I think more realism deals with normativity. I don't think this is normative.
Okay, you don't think this is normative. So like, really, I just want the question answered. Like when you say that you
Yeah,
have,
let me give
you're
you
providing
the
motivating.
distinction.
No, I just no,
The,
just real quick. I want like I understand like a couple of distinctions that you're probably gonna make, but whenever you say that when you're talking about value judgment, you're talking about like motivating reasons. But when you say motivating reasons, my head just interprets that as like whatever I take to be
I
conductivity.
understand. That's why I'm trying to make this distinction.
Okay.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to make this distinction. And I'm not um
Did I cut out? Wait, hold on. Unit, are you there? Unit, I saw you on mute, buddy. Come on, I know you're there. Oh, Juju cut out. I knew it. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
Brandon. Brandon Mize. Oh no, I hope his phone didn't die. Hey, what's up? You back?
Yeah, my phone died.
Oh,
Hold up.
we're about to get into the juiciness. I'm glad TikTok added that thing where like the live stream stays on even though your phone dies. Because it happens to me, except my phone doesn't die. It just like kicks me out of TikTok and I have to restart.
all right, talk. Let me see if you're in my ear now.
All right, checking. 1, 2, 3.
You there?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So I was gonna make the distinction. So I guess you are right that it is about getting rid of the end goal in the sense that it's fixed. Like when someone makes something judgment and they're saying you shouldn't do it. There's two types of judgments. One in which the should not can be replaced with you if you want, you have to. And then there's another sense of it, which is what I'm talking about, which is what I think philosophy is concerned with when they're talking about normativity, is when they're saying you should not, they're not talking about any end. They're just giving some opinion, some value, and saying you can or cannot, and I'd prefer if you do this.
Yeah, when it comes to like ethics and like I guess personal ethics or like what you're going to do, I don't really. It's kind of like it's a similar critique with moral realism because like moral realism, if it was true, it's like a categorically it's a contradiction. But if it was true, if moral realism was real, that gives you a sense of independence. Sorry, there's a lot of background. Is my feed coming in?
Oh, my bad. I mean, chip.
Okay. No, but like the same critique applies with like moral realism, in my opinion, in your definition of morality. Because if moral realism was true, which it isn't, but if it was, it's going to give you like moral facts, and it's going to tell you this is moral, this is good, this is immoral. You shouldn't do this. But that has nothing to do with your actions, what you're going to do. Like you could find out that like helping innocent children was actually morally, which it was just like
Yeah, correct. No, I
it's
agree with you. I
it's like
agree.
incredibly
It's
absurd.
called a no, I agree. It's called a queerness objection, right? J.L. Mackey's queerness objection. It's just saying if moral facts do exist, they're like queer in the sense that it's the most irrelevant fact about reality because it has nothing to do with what I care about, what I want to do.
Yeah, so with
Um,
the queerness objection, it sounds like the same critique could apply. Like when we're talking about morals, and then we have like let's say Unit told me that he would prefer if I didn't like kill my mother. Well, like premise one, Unit doesn't like when I kill my mother. What's premise two, and why should I care? Like that has nothing to do with what I'm actually going to do. In fact,
No, wait. That's I think the point. That's the point of moral discussion. It's you have a preference, and then you're going to provide motivating reasons to a person,
and those
and maybe you
motivating
can
reasons are
change their preferences.
sorry. What does
That's the
motivating
goal.
reasons even mean, if not conductivity?
I don't know what you're asking.
Okay,
Connectivity to what?
connectivity towards
It's
the
saying
when
I.
you
It's
say
saying I. Yeah. It's saying this. It's saying I. The difference is you're saying if you want to do this, you have to do this. I'm saying I want you to do this. I'd rather you do this, but you have the option of doing otherwise.
well,
That's the distinction. Like if I say I'm gonna try to motivate you to work out, I'm implying that you have the option to work out or to not work out, and I really want you to work out, so I'm gonna try to provide reasons to try to change your preferences so that you want to work out now.
you're gonna provide what
I'm gonna provide reasons. I'm gonna provide
reason?
facts,
Yeah, I don't know
and
what
the
reason
facts.
means. Yeah, I really don't know what reason means.
Okay, here, let me not use the word reasons anymore. I'm going to provide facts to you, and the facts I'm going to try to provide to you with the purpose of trying to motivate you to do something that I want you to do,
Motivate me?
to behave in a manner that I want you to behave.
Do you mean
Does
to
that make
when
sense?
you say motivate? Do you mean like try to apply values? Because like values, like
When I
what do we mean when we say
when I
value?
say motivate, when I say motivate, I'm just saying trying to gear you towards,
Yeah, I feel like you're
trying
using
to
like a
fill
bunch of words
you.
that just I feel like you're using like a bunch of words, any words except for value. Because I think if we use value, then I think that commits you towards like something representative of my definition. And I don't. And I not
No,
only
no.
do I not.
I
I feel
made
like
the
we're saying
distinction clear.
I I
You're saying
I
if
really
you're
don't see the
saying no
distinction.
matter you're saying if you want to go to the store, then it is good. And I'm not saying it, that's different than saying I think it is good to go to the store in my sense. Because when I say I think it's good to go to the store, I'm saying I would prefer if you go to the store. And if you want to have a moral discussion, what that discussion means to me is I'm going to provide to you facts with the purpose of trying to get you to do what I want you to do, to behave in the way I want you to behave, to not kill a child, to not kill a 5-year-old sitting by the pool, to not jump off a building, to not those I'm going to provide you facts in accordance with my preferences in a manner in which I want you to behave. That's different than what you're saying. And you're saying I want there's an established goal. If you want to go to that do if you want to effectively efficiently do something, then there's only one way to do it. And that's more of a fact of the matter. And the other one is more of a value judgment, more of saying I want not value judgment in the way you mean it, but what I'm saying is more of ought implying can, and yours is not implying can. Yours is just an, you're saying there's an ought where there's no can. There's only one way. And to me, that seems like no different than saying if you fall off a cliff, you're going to die.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying. I'm so done. I don't know why I didn't see that earlier. But yeah, I think so. What you're saying, like, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that your definition of morality is going to be motivating reasons, and it's going to be discourse about like those motivating reasons towards like
Correct.
yes, okay. And what I'm saying is just like it's strictly empiric. Like I'm not getting towards like any
Yes.
moral thing.
I
Okay,
understand.
okay, that's my bad. It took forever for me to see that. Okay, that's my bad. But no, when because I think my definition is honestly, I think my definition is like a subcategory of yours. Like you're gonna try to provide values, but that's not like
No, I agree. I use we all use language in both senses. Like when I say, well, you shouldn't do that. A lot of the time, what I'm saying is that's not going to achieve what you want, what you're saying. A lot of the time, I am saying that.
sorry,
But
but the
that,
thing is, like with my definition, I'm not trying to exclude. I'm not trying to exclude like the motivating reasons. So like this is why I need to know what motivating reasons meant because now that I understand, I can confidently say that you can provide like in moral discourse, you can provide motivating reasons as to why you should not like terminate your mother. Like you can look, yeah, like you can look at like a person and say, look, you value life, and if you value life because you're living there are good ways for you to live. And if there are good ways for you to live, then you should act towards those good ways. And those good ways are going to include not determining other rational beings that can help you in your life. And so there's still discourse under my definition, because honestly, now that we agree that my definition is like some part like intertwined with yours, then I don't think there's any distinction or like disagreement. Um, so, but yeah, with my definition, I'm not
No,
using that definition.
there's not ever gonna be disagreement in definition because there's just different contexts of which something is used. Your context is different, is wholly separate. At least I say it's wholly separate. It's like saying gender in the case of when someone says that's a man, that's a man. Sometimes they're just using man as a synonym for male. Sometimes they're using man as like a culmination of cultural roles and practices that culminate to some identity called man. That's like that. There's no wrong use unless you're equivocating on the use. But just by having different definitions, not there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that the what you're talking about is saying like there's a piece of paper and then there's like an ant on one line and it's going to get to the goal is to get it to the other line. You're saying if this ant is to get to this line, it ought walk across the line. And you're just saying what I'm saying is that language can just be translated into other means in which I'm not conveying my oughts. You're just saying if the goal is to get the ant to one end to the other end, then it's necessary that this ant walk across the line. And what I'm saying is not necessary. I'm just saying I want you to do something, and by when I say ought, I'm just talking about my wants. I'm talking about my desires, my preferences, my psychological state. You ought not. I don't think people ought. I think killing is wrong. I'm saying personally, and I'm just projecting preferences by saying that personally, I'd rather you not do this. And it seems like there's the end in that is not the same as the end in saying necessary. Because in my case, I'm implying that a person has an option to or to not, and so they're going to say, well, why? That begs the question, why? And then that's where my sense of motivating reasons, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to provide you this, and the goal is to gear you towards behaving in a way I want you to behave. But the key difference is that the person does not have to behave in the way I want them to behave, that they have freedom. They can behave this way, they can behave that way. That's also why I don't understand
Wait,
moral realism.
do you think mine excludes freedom?
I do.
I don't think that's the case, because when we're talking about freedom, we're talking about your ability to act without restrictions. So I think if we're
Well, this,
disregarding freedom, like if you're saying my definition disregards freedom, even though we can kind of agree that mine is trying to get more like facts of reality. If we get that mine has more facts of
correct,
reality, and what mine is trying to get at least is facts of reality, then I think it would just be a fact of
correct.
reality that you don't really have freedom, because like if we're casting out freedom as your ability to choose, independent of like conductivity or independent of your end goals, now I just disregard with the concept of freedom. I don't think you can ever act that is not
Okay, let's
conducive
get rid
towards
of
your
the.
end goals. Well, maybe not,
Let's
maybe
just get.
irrationally. Like I think you can act irrationally and you have the freedom to do so. But if you want to act rationally and you want to act like towards your end goals, which psychologically you're restricted, you're literally restricted towards only ever acting towards your values. I think my definition encompasses a rational way to achieve your values and a rational way to flourish. And if you know the facts, what is conducive towards your end goals, then I think psychologically you are like limited. You're almost a slave towards these conductivities, and I don't think that's really a problem.
No, I think the key is that you're just pointing to facts and pointing to facts. Um, I think everything with what you're saying. I think my view is incompatible with determinism, and I think your view is compatible with determinism, and I think that's the difference. My view is at least implying that a person. I'm not saying it is necessary that you do this to a person. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have the option, and I want you to do something, and I'm motivating you to. And yours is saying not that I want you to, or I'm motivating you to in the sense that you have different options. You're saying, insofar as this is what you want, this is the only way to do this.
I
And
think
by saying this is the only way to do this is what I mean when I say that you're restrictive and saying, or your view is compatible with is just saying that, or no different than just pointing out any other fact of the matter. It's just saying if you want to go down the street tomorrow, you have to take a car. There's no canness in that.
So I think in moral discourse, I think mine actually promotes more freedom because we're telling you your actions, and then we're gonna and under my definition, which I don't because under your categorization of my definition, because in my definition, I think you can still give motivating reasons as to why you shouldn't do it with respect to your desires, and you can continue the conversation like that. But if you have an understanding of my definition that
But
disrespects
that's not that. No, no. But there's a different sense. What you mean by motivating reasons why you shouldn't do it. You're just saying, I'm going to provide you to why I think this is a fact. That's like an evolutionist thing saying to a theist, I'm gonna tell you why you should not, but not in the sense of what I'm talking about. What they're saying is I'm gonna provide you facts to show you why it's not a fact of the matter that God exists, and we actually came from apes. And that seems to have no normative implications.
Yeah, no, that gets into what I'm saying because I, under my definition, or at least you understand my definition, we're telling you facts about reality and what you are going to act towards those facts. Or like now that you have understanding of these facts, you're going to act with respect to your desires. But under your definition of normative talk or like a moral discourse, you're telling somebody what you want. And you're trying to you essentially you said it. You're trying to gear them towards like your desires. But under my definition, we're telling them what is conducive towards their desires, what is conducive towards their actions, but you're setting them to this one course. And I think
No,
my definition is
you're getting
more
too caught up
aligned.
on the concept of freedom. You're getting too caught up on that.
Well,
My
I think
point
it's important.
is that no, I don't think so. I think freedom is such a loaded term. And then we're going to go down what is freedom, and that I think that's completely irrelevant towards the conversation right now. Like my point is that your type of what you consider normativity is has likeness in other types of sentences. It has extreme, it can be interchangeable with other types of sentences, such as, hey, hey, you shouldn't believe in evolution. There's a different sense here. Let me say, um, if evolution isn't true, should I believe in it? Like that's the type of question I'm concerned with. Or if evolution, let's say evolution is or is not true, should a person believe in things that are not true? And you're gonna say, well, if you're committed epistemically towards truth, then you should. And by that, you're just saying if you're committed towards truths, then it is necessary that you're going to accept truths. That's what you're saying. And what I'm saying is a value judgment. I'm saying, is it good or bad in sense of value? Saying if there's a person has an option, even because there's no end that they're committed to.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, I feel like you're hyping my definition up. Like what you're describing sounds great.
Oh my God, you're not understanding. Here, let me ask you a different question. Is if I'm committed to going down the street and the only way I can get down the street is by taking a car. Is taking a car good?
Yeah, look, taking a car is good.
Okay, and by good you just mean it's interchangeable
Not
with I ought interchangeable with the only way I can get down the street is by taking a car. That's
yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah, in a normative sense, yeah, because I think normatives are ethical.
Okay, is there any other sense in which I'm using the word ought here that you could think of?
Maybe if you were like a different, maybe you had like a different brand of like morality, and like you just meant. I mean, if you're like a more particularist and you said, I don't like when you go down the street in a car, then yeah, I think it would follow that you ought not go down the street in the car. If all you mean by ought is just that Juju doesn't like it, maybe that would be the case. But I think my definition encompasses more options, and I think more options is good when evaluating your actions because with options you have more
I
actions.
don't know what do you mean with options? Because it's just a fact of the matter. How is there options and
You're
facts of matter?
you're trying your definition is trying to gear them towards like a specific end goal, but my definition tells them what is conducive. And once you
But
understand,
how does that have to do with options? How do factor of matters have to do with options? If
because
I say there's a tree
you
outside,
still have the
how does that
freedom
have to
to
do with
choose your
options?
you still have the freedom to choose your end goals.
You're just saying you have a freedom to choose your stance. You have a freedom to choose your stance under my view as well.
Yeah, and under my definition, we're telling you facts about reality, and learning facts about reality isn't bad. You're just learning end goals, and then you're learning like more
No,
empirics about
see, now you're equivocating. Now you're equivocating. You see, now you use bad in a different sense. You said learning about end goals isn't bad, and that was a different sense of what you used earlier. So you obviously do understand what I'm saying.
I meant
You
bad
said,
in
if
respect towards freedom.
yeah, bad in respect to if you're saying learning end goals isn't bad, and all you mean to say is it isn't learning end goals is conducive towards freedom, those are two different senses, and it seemed like what you just said was the second sense,
Yeah, learning end goals is
in
conducive.
accordance with.
I'm using my definition to categorize my definition. I don't think that's an issue.
That's not what I said. I said you're equivocating on the terms. You used it in a sense that I just used it right now, and I think you're acting like you didn't.
Okay,
When you said uh, achieving your goals is good, and you're just saying achieving your goals is conducive towards your ends, and then I'm saying, okay, well, there's a sense in which I'm saying it's not conducive towards your ends, and someone is just making a sort of a value judgment, not a necessary claim about a fact of a matter.
wait, yeah. So, when we're talking about like what is good and bad, like I'm not saying that all other definitions of good and bad are just like wrong or like you shouldn't use them. Even it's
I understand that I
wait.
understand that.
Sorry, it's hard.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're equivocating in terms.
Yeah, well, I'm not equivocating if like I grant I'm not like excluding other definitions because like if I want you if because I think there's
No,
another
that's not what equivocation is.
sorry.
No, an equivocation isn't when you just exclude other definitions. An equivocation is when there's multiple senses of the same term, and then you use multiple senses of the same term as if you're using the same sense of one term in the same context. For example, if I said bats can fly, and so I'm gonna go use a baseball bat when I play, you're going to be like, what? You just said bats can fly. You're talking about the animal in one context, and then you just moved from talking about the animal to talking about the tool that people use to play baseball. That's an equivocation. That's what I mean. When you're saying goodness is good, you're saying goodness is a value judgment, and then after that, you're saying goodness is that which is conducive towards your goals. And I ask you, is what is conducive towards your goals good? And in that sense, I'm not asking if it's a synonym. I'm asking if there's another sense that can be applied to goodness being or conduciveness towards your goals being good, not in the sense of replaceable with necessity, but in a different sense. And then you answer that question with the way I used goodness, and that's why I said you
Yeah,
equivocate.
that's why I'm saying yes, I agree with that. But I don't think that's an issue because I'm not excluding your definition. So I think it's fine for me to use your definition of good, as in like I like it. Like as I guess like however the answer you realize is going to cash out the word good. But I think it is good. I like when people have freedom, and I like when people can achieve their goals. So I think I'm not. This is the thing. Like I'm not excluding the motivating reasons in moral discourse. You can still tell them, look, I like when you do this, and the reason I like it is because like X Y Z. And if you value some sort of X, then you're going to be committed towards X Y Z as well. And from that, you're going to be committed towards my value. And I don't think that's wrong. And when I say I don't think it's wrong, I mean like I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, so okay, so we got to the bottom of it. There was two different senses, and you're just saying that
I've been
what
saying
I
it the
said
whole
earlier,
time.
there's not a problem with your
I'm not
definition,
excluding
and
motivating
there's just
reasons.
two contexts.
Yeah, I've been saying that the whole time.
Oh, well, that was my issue. My issue is when we use what I consider normative language, and then we use like a Randian type of language where I think you we're extremely unfamiliar with talking about normativity in a way that's conduciveness towards end goals in philosophical literature, and you bring that up, and to me, obviously, it's going to have nothing to do with value judgments because, like you said, value judgments has something to do with like likeness, I preferness, uh, things like that. And it seems like it begs the question: is conduciveness towards your goals good? And I think that's the sense of moral disagreement that we have, not about facts. Like, oh, is it good to shoot your mom? And then someone says, well, of if you want to live, and then the person's like, well, I'm trying to figure out if I want to trade off living for shooting this random person on the street. And then it seems like we're not just talking about what a person wants, we're disagreeing. We're saying I don't think you should do that. In in my opinion, I don't like when you do that. It seems like that's what most moral disagreement is saying. Would you disagree?
No, I'm not. I don't disagree with like understanding most of moral discourse, but I think mine encompasses like more. It's like you said, facts, and so I'm more parsimonious towards mine because I think it describes more reality.
Well, of course, because you're just being descriptive.
Yeah.
In my view, I'm being prescriptive. right? So it
Yeah,
just goes back to what I said originally. You're not talking about prescriptiveness. You're just talking about descriptiveness.
yeah, and I don't think that's, how do I say it? I don't think that's bad, and I don't like it, and I don't think I don't like it. So. Sorry, you messed
I
up the
know you
word,
don't
man.
like
You
it because
messed
you're
up the
using.
word, man. You could come on, be honest. You you tricked me up.
No, I can't believe that you're actually. I can't believe anyone's actually a capitalist though. Like what? Like let's just talk about. Uh, I think people's goals are conflicted. So even under your view, like I don't think people. I think people are going to be particularist about goals. Um, even so, I think most people are going to hold their goals as intuitions and not even as like it's like an emotional appeal that is it's not something that's principled their goals like I want to go to the car tomorrow. I want to get to my car, and then they're trying to weigh what what is the offset, like what do they have to sacrifice to go to the car, and they're trying to figure that out. And that seems like under your view what people are trying to figure out, right? That's
Yeah,
like what the but then it goes into likeness like I'd rather, and it seems like that, and then it goes into my view where they're saying now they're not talking about facts, now they're just saying well I'd really if am I willing to trade my car for my life, like maybe I am, maybe I'm not, and that seems to be the value judgment like. And so when we talk about like capitalism, I think it's more fruitful to talk about what are we willing to give in order to get. And I'm going to provide you facts in which may change your opinion on what you're willing to give, like a certain type of freedom in order to gain something. Like maybe you have to be in chains for 5 minutes in order to be out of chains for 20 years, and that's something you're willing to give. And I think it's more fruitful to talk like that instead of these loaded terms. And that's why I wanted to get rid of the word capitalism, because lots of times a bunch of terms that people are disagreeing about on subject matter, it's turned into a semantical thing. It's a bunch of loaded terms. But I can't believe that. I can't believe that, like, in a likeness sense, that makes sense, that someone truly believes that it's a good thing for there to be capitalists, like literally providing absolutely nothing. You have a landlord who is just extracting rent, and you have workers that are building the properties, that are managing the properties, and there's literally just someone there extracting rent. That you would find morally reprehensible in the sense of likeness.
yeah. Honestly, I forgot we're talking about capitalism, but this does go back into like I think something I said pretty early on in the discussion. Um, I look at capitalism, and I don't take any like I don't look at it and I don't like try to justify it. I just look at it and have I don't really have like feelings towards it. I just look at like socialism and like a dictatorship or the proletariat or like a
Let's not say capitalism. Let's not say capital. Let's just say this: like, you obviously have a problem if someone tried to claim the earth today. You would obviously have a problem, right? And let's say that let's say somehow they had a justified view towards that, like in accordance with what you see as normative, like towards an end. They had some justified claim.
if he values
Would you see a
maximization
problem?
if he values maximization of property, and then claiming the world would be conducive towards maximization of property, and then yeah,
Correct. What would you see a problem in your likeness if that was the case? Because this is just facts of the matter. You're saying there's facts of the matter. What do you see an issue in the likeness of that? Saying I just don't like that. I really don't like that. I prefer if this wasn't the case. I'd prefer if people weren't starving because this person made claim to the earth.
yeah. There's I could come at it that way, and then there's also like another argument. It's like pretty semantical, but like you could just say Yeah, if you value life, then you kind of value like certain virtues in life that are conducive towards flourishment, and dictating the entire world by yourself isn't like very virtuous. You probably wouldn't like that as much as like you would enjoy being in like being in a community. So there'd be that, and then yeah, but basically I'll just say yeah, I don't like it.
Do you like? Do you like? Well, let's use a more everyday life example. Do you like the fact that um, people are militarized and they use their militant forces to stop workers from being able to collectively own things that they need to survive, like food and water? Do you like that? Is that
No,
something?
no, I dislike it.
Bro, you're a communist.
Oh wait, if by communism you just mean that there's no state government to like impose on people's rights, then
No,
okay.
let's just say this. By communist, I'm just gonna say this, that you have a strong preference, and that you would rather people not use militant forces to gatekeep things that are necessary for living, and you'd rather there be decentralization and communalization, and you'd rather the world not be dominated by profit, and instead you'd rather have uh, an exchange where the end is different. For example, like the end is no longer profit seeking, but the end is like utopian, like in a utopian sense, like helping each other out.
Sorry, wait, do you think that laissez-faire capitalism advocates for the government to like prevent like a large group of the proletariat from like collectively owning something? If they voluntarily own it and they voluntarily agree to share the not profit, but to share the means of production, if they all consensually agree, then that's compatible with capitalism, and that's why I like capitalism. You can still have like these
No, no,
socialist programs.
no, because the difference is, under capitalism, people are saying, I would prefer if the state protect a person's ability to be able to starve other people, and I would prefer if the state protects a person's ability to deprive other people of a certain quality of life. I that's what that's what would fundamentally separate you as
Sorry,
a
repeat
communist
those
and a
two.
capitalist. Because communist, I'm saying that what would separate you um, from being a capitalist, if you were a communist, is the capitalists are saying, I would prefer if the state enforces a person's right to be able to deprive people of water or food or this or that.
And then the
That's what
alternative.
they're saying. They're saying, and the communist is saying, actually, I don't find that preferable at all. I don't like when that happens. I think that because they're listing a fact. They're saying because um, let's say when our society is ran by profit, and there are allowed to be people who own things proper um, own things privately, and they have the ability to deprive people down to bare minimum living needs, that they will do that, and I don't like when that happens. And so I'd prefer if the state didn't protect the ability to do that. And so I'd also prefer if the state, if like a central force mandated that things be collectively bargained and collectively democratized and collectively owned. That's the difference.
Sorry, you still have an REA under communism, right?
A what?
Rights Enforcement Agency.
A
Actually,
rights? I
actually,
don't.
you know what? An agency
You said rights enforcement.
that would be a contract on mine. So under communism, what's going to protect people's rights? Because like honestly, who's gonna stop
I don't know
like
what
Jeff
you mean by
Bezos?
right.
So
Oh, you're saying like what's gonna stop Jeff Bezos from
yeah,
trying to privatize?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Why is that? Are you saying that because then there'd be a state of some sort?
Yeah, without this
Is that
state,
what you're
it sounds
saying?
like without the state, it sounds like Jeff Bezos is gonna he's gonna do his thing.
Well, you're just referring to what Marx said by stateless. What Marx said by stateless had to do with a capitalist conception of state, just like how Marx didn't like police. But what leftists just mean by abolish the police is literally just get rid of capitalist police. That's what they mean. And what
And
they
then
mean by stateless is get rid of capitalist state.
so you are still gonna have a rights enforcement agency, right?
I can't see it being otherwise. I can't see like there not being police to protect people who want to
Okay.
harm other people. I can't see there not being a force to stop a person who's trying to create like a huge profit, like a cult, like a capitalist cult. I can't see that.
Okay, and
There's going
so
to be
with
some form of enforcement.
those police, are those police going to stop Jeff Bezos from because from my basic understanding, um, most communists don't disagree with bartering. So let's say Jeff Bezos he started like bartering like a whole bunch of personal properties. So you like toothbrushes, communists like these toothbrushes a lot. Let's say Jeff Bezos like collected a whole bunch of toothbrushes. Is there going to be a limit in which Jeff Bezos can collect toothbrushes to the point where like the police are going to step in and say, Jeff Bezos, still you have too many toothbrushes?
That's you're asking about the aesthetics of a post-capitalist society, not necessarily about like communism. Communism, as Marx described, is literally just the ridding of capital. What it takes to rid capital. Communism is a movement, is what he said, not sort of like a stage. Uh, but what you're asking about, it depends. It's community to community. Like, is there a certain point at which someone can take too many apples? I'm sure there will be, in the sense that there should be a certain point in which today I think like a billionaire shouldn't just be able to go and buy all the food before it starts affecting people drastically in that same sense. But it's just community to community, just like today, it's state to state or city to city based on how much food there is. Where I think we should tell a person, well, you're doing too much now. You're buying too much toilet paper. You can't do that. People are gonna start having to wipe their ass with paper, you know, if you buy all this toilet paper.
Yeah, so there are going to be restrictions, right? And I think it's the application of
Yeah, of course.
I think it's the application of the restrictions that I like. I think most capitalists just disagree with because like obviously you're gonna
The
have to like take
application.
away from
What is that?
you're gonna have to like take away from Jeff Bezos and like or like you're gonna have to like throw him in jail or like steal essentially like steal his property, steal the things that he had bartered for and he traded with to earn. And so I think it's the acquisition of those resources that capitalists just find unjustified.
Oh no, no. And Marx makes a distinction between barter and like what we consider market in today's society. But there's no market in a sense under bartering system. So when you work for when you the point of a barter as opposed to a market is that a barter is for direct use, not in the sense of okay, I'm going to use my money to make more money. Not that. That's what Marx tried to distinguish between money, commodity, money. Like when you use money to get a commodity for the purpose of getting more money, and that's what communists are fundamentally against. They're saying, I don't think you should be able to use money to get a commodity to make more money, but you should be able to use a commodity, exchange it for money to get a commodity. You should be able to do that. Like you should be able to get a pencil, exchange it for like a voucher or like a dollar or whatever, and be able to exchange that for something which um, can be bartered and seen as equal, and they're both directly for use. Not that I should be able to exchange my pencil for a car and then exchange that car for 100 pencils to deprive other people of pencils, because that's the distinction between capitalism and communism to Marx, that he thinks that that's how capitalism functions. Capitalism, you exchange things not for the sake of use but for the exchange, but you only buy a commodity in respect to gaining more money. And so sort of like think of like a sneaker scalper, those people who buy bots and they use their money to buy bots, commodities, to buy other commodities to in the end get more money. And that is what is seen as like immoral or unlikable to
Well, this is
communists. They're
really
saying that's fucked up because you're just leeching.
moral, right? Because you're saying like
What?
in order for something to be personal property, you have to use it and you have to use it for personal uses. But when you're acquiring, when we're talking about the acquisition of commodities, it sounds like you are using it. So I don't know I don't know what it means to acquire something.
That's what I tried to explain. I said I don't mean use in the sense like someone just has a goal. What Marx means by personal as opposed to non-personal is what it is being used for. So he's just saying he doesn't think that you should be bartering for the sake of gaining more capital or gaining more money or when you exchange a toothbrush, your end goal should it be to come out with two toothbrushes in value or in physicality. It shouldn't
Wait,
be
you
that.
think that's
That's what he's
unethical?
saying.
So like if I give an example, like you think it's wrong to
Oh
acquire,
yeah.
so you think it's wrong to acquire commodities just for the sake of like exchanging those commodities for more personal uses, right? Sure.
No, not for more personal uses. No, that's not what I said. Like a car may give you more personal uses, but it's what he's saying is it's wrong to exchange a toothbrush for the sake of coming out with two toothbrushes in value.
Wait, do you think it's wrong to like?
That's what he's saying.
Well, okay, so you know what Pokemon cards are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think it's wrong to like
But
exchange like
he
your
said
Charmanders for the sake of getting like
yeah, go ahead.
do you think it's wrong to exchange like your Charmander for the like
No.
no?
Because in that if you okay, imagine someone trades two Pikachus, some two common cards for like a Lugia, right? In that Lugia, the reason Marx doesn't agree is because that to those two people, that exchange is of equal value. That the Lugia is identical in value to two Pikachus. That's what he's saying. But what he's saying is that if two Pikachus are actually of less value than a Lugia, then a person wouldn't exchange them. And the only way they exchange them is what's happening under capitalism, where you have a surplus, a worker surplus that is exchanged through force,
Okay,
where
wait,
you
so,
have workers having to work or die in the case of take a wage or die. And the only way an unequal exchange can occur is under capitalism, or not under, sorry, not under capitalism, when you're threatening someone in some way, coercing in some way. And so now they're saying, well, if you want water, you have to, if let's say a person's standing in front of the lake and they're saying, if you want water, you have to bring me two Pikachus every day. And let's say 1 cup of water is 5/10 that of two Pikachu cards. That's the only way unequal exchanges happen, according to Marx.
like a couple
Otherwise, the
things.
two Pikachu, otherwise two people wouldn't exchange a Lugia.
Yes, a couple things. You are like I don't. I would need to see like some sort of like justification for like this evaluation of of values. Or like at least like an understand or like an assessment of values. Because would you believe in like an all objective standard of value?
No.
Okay, okay, so
I
wait,
don't know what you
then
mean by
let's say
objective, but I'm assuming you're saying there's some mind independent valueness to something.
yeah, standard of value. But if we're using the labor theory of
Sorry, what
value,
did you say?
would the labor theory of value be categorized as objective or subjective?
No, bruh. The labor theory of value is not Marx saying that there's real values or
Okay.
that there's objective values. The labor theory of value is more of like a predictive method of capital.
Okay, so because
But it includes
when I gave the analogy of like
what he
Pokemon cards, you said that Karl Marx would say that the value has to be equal between the Lugia and like the two Pikachu's. But okay, so if it was the case that you traded like 15 Pikachus for one Lugia, Marx would say that's unethical. But the person trading the 15 Pikachus obviously thinks that they're the same value because obviously he's acting towards it. In fact, he might even value. No, he
No,
definitely
no,
does. He
no.
values
This
the
is such a
Lugia more.
straw man of Marx. This is like the mud pie argument,
Okay, well,
bruh.
Marx needs
Marx
to
is
explain
saying
himself.
Marx makes a distinction between use values and exchange values.
No, that's the point. That's the
Bro,
point.
you
If
just
you
gotta
don't,
read
no,
Marx.
that's the point.
This
Okay,
is
I
like
need
a
to
very
distinguish.
common straw man of Marx.
No, this is really this is why I use Pokemon cards. So exchange values is unethical, correct?
No,
No, it's not. Okay, so use values is unethical, right?
no.
Okay, no. So neither of these exchanges are unethical.
See?
So what was the issue with
You're
Mark?
confused.
What is the
No, you're
issue
just
with Mark?
confused. You're
I'm
confused.
very confused.
I'll explain. I'll explain for you, bro. This is what Marx is saying. He's saying if two people come together and decide that a Lugia is worth 3 Pikachus, there's no problem with that. If another group of people come together and they decide that one Lugia is worth 8 Pikachus, there's no problem with that. He's saying that. There's no problem there. And he's saying that market exchanges or bartering are going to create market prices, the exchange values, right? That's what he's saying, and which is true. That's descriptive. When enough people start trading shit, it's going to average out, and that's what we call a price.
Yeah.
But that's not what Marx is contending with. That Marx is saying is that he's saying there's a certain type of exchange which occurs in our society in
Okay.
which a person trades their labor for a wage. That's what he's talking about. And the reason I gave an analogy about the Pokemon cards is what is he's saying this. He's saying normally if me and Lucario were if you thought that your Lugia was worth 10 Pikachus and I only had 3, you wouldn't exchange it for me because that doesn't make any sense. And in relation to the exchange value is let's say even you just wanted to exchange it on the marketplace. That wouldn't even make sense to you if your Lugia was worth $100 and the Pikachus were worth $30 collectively. That wouldn't make sense for you. But Marx is saying that's true. I acknowledge that. And he's saying, but there's a certain type of exchange, which is the exchange of labor for a wage, which is like the exchange of someone giving a Lugia for 3 Pikachus. That's what he's saying. And what he means by that is that when a worker produces, like, let's say 10 apples, he's saying that the worker is given the exchange of 3 apples, the exchange value of 3 apples. That's what he's saying. And that's what a wage is. And he's saying the only reason this is acceptable is because the worker has to do it or else they'll die or they're coerced by alternatives.
Okay, so earlier the distinction, like when you said that Marx wouldn't have a problem with like exchanging 2 Pikachus for a Lugia just because like they have equal value. That wasn't like sorry, I don't be rude, but that actually wasn't like super relevant because neither of them had anything to do with labor, right? Or like coercive labor.
No, no, bro, I don't think you're being rude. The reason I brought that up was to show that there's a certain type of exchange which Marx sees as equal, which is usually what the capitalist calls Marx rejecting, which is weird. Like you said that earlier, it's like the mud pie thing where he's like, "Oh, Marx has a problem. If I want to trade my dog right now for a house, he's gonna have a problem with that." No, he's not. There's no problem there. What Marx is pointing out is that there is a type of exchange in which things are exchanged evenly, and that's in the eyes of the exchangers. And what Marx is saying is that there is a type of exchange in which things aren't exchanged evenly. And then that's why I tried to make that analogy between the Pokemon cards.
Okay, so
Does
in
that
the
make
eyes
sense?
of the exchangers, it has to be even, right?
Yeah, well, let me give you this. Like, what? Because this is also going to get. I already know it's going to get into this. Like, what we mean by even is like if someone's holding a gun to my head and says, "Hey, um, give me 10 of your Pokemon cards right now." Now, there's going to be a different sense of evenness that you have, in which Marx is going to reject. He's saying evenness is sort of a power dynamic. That if someone has a gun to your head, there's a obvious difference of power here, which is going to drastically affect what is going to be exchanged. right? And I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Don't take evenness as sort of like this universal thing where all things that are exchanged, so long as they're exchanged and the parties are happy, then it's even. That's not what he means. He's saying it's sort of like a difference of power. Like if me and you, all things being equal, we're standing in front of each other with Pokemon cards, he's saying that is an even exchange. But if you're holding a gun to my head or other factors where you're depriving me of something, especially that which I need to live, and then you're asking to exchange, I'm going to be far more willing to give um, in terms of what the exchange value would have been. So, like, if it really, even in the case of capitalism in the marketplace, it doesn't make sense for me to exchange you a chair that's worth $5 for a $10 bill. That doesn't make any sense. But Marx is saying that happens. He's saying that happens in the case of wage labor. And he's saying, why does that happen? Because anywhere else we wouldn't really say that makes sense. And he's saying that only happens because the capitalist has control of the means of production.
Sorry, it's hard to value. It's hard to value like exactly what are the conditions that the exchange is going to be unethical if we add in like you put a gun to your head, but I feel like I'm doing the same thing
Yeah.
earlier. But if you didn't put the gun to your head and there's still like or there's still an unequal exchange of labor, would that still be unethical even if there wasn't like a worker die situation?
An unequal exchange of labor?
Yeah, whatever metric he's using.
I
Let's
don't
just say,
understand.
sorry, an unequal exchange of
Well,
labor.
he's just saying, well, you're saying like a slave without being like coerced into being a slave? That's what you're saying?
Um, Something like that.
Like, are you saying like, what if a slave wanted to be a slave and they weren't held at gunpoint or chained down? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there could be other reasons that he doesn't want to do it, but he still commits himself towards doing it. Because like maybe he's trying to work like super hard. Like let's say he's like working incredibly hard for like to pay something, but he's like working crazy hard and getting compensated like statistically pretty little. Would Marx would still say that's unethical, right?
I don't, I don't repeat that one more time? What?
Like let's say he's not in a work or die situation, but he's saving up for
Okay.
he's saving up for a better house. His house is kind of small.
Oh, a better house?
Yeah, his house is like it's pretty small. So he's
Yeah,
like
he
working.
is because remember what he's saying. I think I can answer your question without going further. He's saying that the relationship between the capitalist and the worker itself is structured in a way in which the exchanges between them are going to be uh, unequal, and that what he says, he gives this example in volume 3 where he starts going over his charts and shit, where he's like, why would someone produce 10 apples and only get paid 1 apple? Well, that makes no sense. I would never fucking produce 10 apples and get paid 1. Like, why would I do that? And then this is what he's saying. He's saying that happens because the capitalist owns it. And he's saying, well, if the capitalist owns it, why is the capitalist owning it? Well, what does that provide? And this is the distinction between capitalism and communism, at least to me, or one of the huge ones, is that communists are saying they're saying if the worker is the one producing the thing, why is the capitalist getting 9 of it? Because just a capitalist, remember, capitalist doesn't mean CEO, right? Capitalist just means owner. Um, and so because of some weird claim, I'm going to produce 10 for someone and get 1 of what I'm producing, that because it's gate kept, because they have the ability to gate kept what they're producing or the means of production. You don't find that odd?
No, not necessarily, because because it seems like it's presupposing like, oh, okay, what are the apples? So I take the view that like almost like
What are the what?
because it seems like it's presupposing like with the labor theory of value, and like whether you're saying something is unethical or like it's uneven, it seems like it's like presupposing like which the
No,
apple.
labor theory of value has nothing to do with ethics. It has nothing to do with morality.
Wait, so if something goes against the labor theory of
Remember
value,
that. Labor
then
theory of value has nothing to do with morality.
okay, so if you go against the labor theory of value, like if you if you disproportionately exchange values with labor and commodities, then it's not ethic. That's not unethical at all.
No, I believe it's unethical, but the labor theory of value doesn't state that something is unethical. It's supposed to be descriptive. It's
Yeah,
just saying
and then you
like
wait.
it's saying like this.
Wait,
It's
this is a semantic dispute. I'm saying as long as you agree that we use the labor theory
no,
value
it's
to
not a
determine.
semantic dispute.
No, it is.
No, I'm not okay, we're not arguing over a word or definition. I'm saying that the view doesn't entail something. That's not a semantic.
No, the concept of the labor theory
Uh,
of value. I'm not like saying the labor theory of value dictates what it is like unethical. I'm saying that you use the labor theory of value to dictate for yourself whether you like something or not, right?
say that again, sorry.
I'm not saying that the labor theory of value dictates what is unethical or what is ethical, but you use the labor theory of
You're
value as a metric to determine whether you dislike something or.
oh yeah. I use it as a motivating reason.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So it does have something to do with ethics. It just like the semantic dispute is not necessary. So if we do use I forgot what I was saying. If we do use the labor theory value and we find out that something is unethical, I would approach it with more like I guess like the argument from argumentation ethics, because I don't really see the unethicality in like two mutually beneficial transactions. Because if the employee who's like disproportionately getting compensated for, if he is working towards the end goal, then he necessarily values it. And if he does value it, then I don't see an issue with like I don't feel like a
Oh,
need to stop it.
we got to get out of this. You're going back to your old fucking script. We got to get out of that shit. We got to get out of that and say, okay, why would if I'm gonna work, okay, if I'm gonna work picking apples out of a tree, and let's say every hour I pick 10 apples, why would I give 9 away to
I
someone?
was presupposing with the
That's the
apple.
question we have to answer.
Like you could value the apples, like
I'm
maybe it would be
presupposing that
like
the
three
apples
green
what?
apples. Like maybe there are three green
That's
apples, and you just like
presupposing what?
what the apples are in the analogy. Because like maybe to you,
What do you mean the
um,
apples are?
well, when you're saying that you're disproportionately getting apples, or like you're giving like apples, like disproportionately, you're presupposing that like it's disproportional with respect to values.
I'm not saying disproport. I'm no, no. Someone can. That's not what Marx is saying. Someone can think that what they're exchanging is of equal. That's not. That's not the issue. He's asking the question. He's not saying, bro. You keep trying to say like the mud pie argument. That is not what he's saying. He's saying that if someone is producing 10 apples, why? Why are they giving away 9?
Because I want to give away nine. 'Cause they're getting something from it. The person who's working is getting some sort of compensation that he obviously desires, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. I mean, there's a lot of birds. Hey, you back?
Yeah, bro. My dog ran out the gate.
Oh. I don't know. But also I forgot what I was saying.
I heard what you said last though. That you're saying the reason that they're doing that.
is because they value it. Yeah.
You're saying the reason that they're doing that is because they want.
Yeah. Obviously,
Of course,
they
that's
value the
Marxist, not
compensation more than the sacrifice of labor. So you can't just say that they're
correct.
all apples.
Correct.
So you
Marx is
can't
not
just say they're
disagreeing.
all
Marx is
apples.
not
So
disagreeing.
obviously, there's something about those three apples that you gained that were worth more than those nine apples that you gave away.
Yeah, which is living. Marx is not disagreeing with that.
Okay. So but
That's not what Marx is
we
disagreeing with.
already ruled out the work or die situations. I don't know why we're using life.
No, oh my goodness. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hello?
Wait, hello? Is it cutting in?
What Marx is saying, if you can't hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Hello? Oh. Yeah, Marx isn't saying that they're exchanging things which are equally useful. That's not what he's saying. Remember, there's a difference. What he's asking is if something is exchangeable on a market for $10, if for $500, and the worker is exchanging something to the capitalist, which is worth $500, and the capitalist is giving the worker $20. Marx is asking, why is that happening? He's not asking in the sense of course, because the worker doesn't want to die, and so it's equal to them. That's not what he's asking. He's saying, in what situation does someone give up something that's exchangeable for $500 in accordance for something that's only exchangeable for $20? He's saying, what? Why does this happen? And not in the sense of obviously because the worker wants to live, or let's say because there's a coercive force to it, or whatever. Let's just give a more fundamental reason, like water. Someone wants to work for water and food. Marx is saying it's because they want water and food. That's the point, and he's saying that if someone that where the ethical part comes in is he's saying if someone is exchanging $500 of what they produced in water for $20 in what they're given, then what? Then he's saying
Obviously, if you act to exchange it,
that's
then
the unethical
they
part.
value something about the $5 significantly more than the $20. Because in the labor theory,
Their life,
you're
yes.
okay, but okay. Well, now we're adding in another condition, which is life, but that's not what we're talking.
No. The only reason that a worker is doing it is because he can't get water anywhere else. Otherwise, the worker would be producing $500 worth of water for themselves and exchanging it themselves in that marketplace
Okay,
to
so
get whatever else they need.
so it is a work or die situation.
Well, I'm giving you a more fundamental one where the worker is working for water and food, but it can be applied to anything.
Okay, no, I need
because
to.
you bring up work or die.
No, because it's I keep trying to disregard the work or die.
It can be applied to TJ Maxx if you want to work at TJ Maxx. Why would I go and produce something? Why would a worker go and produce something and exchange $500, which is that which they produce, for $15 an hour? They get paid, let's say in 1 hour, $500 they produce, and then they get paid $15. Marx is saying, of course they do that, but they do that to get into the marketplace, or they do that to buy things in which the alternative is extremely unlikable, is what they think.
Yeah, because they value the compensation more than the transaction.
Yeah, Marx doesn't disagree with you. You keep going back to equal exchange.
Well,
Marx
I keep
does
giving you
not
the answer
disagree.
because you keep asking the question, why do they do it? And every time you ask why, I'm just going to tell you.
But it's not. It's not. But I'm not asking you in the sense why. In the sense of because obviously they're willing to exchange their labor in exchange for something, a piece of what they've produced for the capitalist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not asking you that. I'm saying why, in a sense of why does the person only get?
Conditions to be this way?
No, I'm saying in the sense that we would never exchange anything which is at least market exchangeable, in the sense of a market exchange, an exchange value exchangeable for $500, and then I just give someone $20 for it. That seems absurd to everything else.
Your subjective value, it trumps the transaction.
No, there's a difference between there's this difference between a use value and an exchange value. You keep going back to use value. You're saying, but they both find use of equal. And I'm saying, I agree with you, buddy. What Marx is saying is there's an issue when the person, not in the use, because obviously they exchanged, so they find equal use. Whatever one wants. One wants to look cool, and the capitalist has the means to look cool. Whatever the exchange is does not matter. What Marx is pointing out is that the only way to enter the marketplace is by doing that, going and get a wage. And he's saying, no matter what you want to do, you're going to be producing more than what you were given. And that's what he sees as unethical.
Okay, wait, so earlier when I said that the labor theory dictates what is unethical, it's not the case that the work or die situation is necessary. We can still find unethicality from the labor theory of value, correct?
Okay, when you say unethicality from the labor theory of value, I think now you can see why I'm going to say that there's no entailment of unethicality. I'm just saying
not
that the labor theory of value is telling you, if you're going to produce, you're going to give more than what you have produced to the capitalist, then you're going to take home. That's what Marx is saying.
Wait, get more. Well, more kind of presupposes what the values are, right?
No, no. It's a description. If I produce 10 apples, I'm gonna give the capitalist 9 or 8, right? They're never gonna give me 5. They're not gonna give me half.
Yeah, so if you exchange nine apples for 3 apples, it's because you value those 3 apples more than the 9 apples.
That he doesn't disagree, bruh. Now I'm convinced that you're
We're
just
going in
trolling.
circles. I'm
That's a
sorry.
use value. That's a use value, not an exchange value.
Use value. I don't know why we should care about exchange values, because you can only ever act towards the use values if I guess what you're categorizing as use values. Um, so yeah,
Okay,
I
I don't
think
care, bro.
I think
That
with
doesn't
use
matter.
values.
It doesn't matter if you see no, bro. It doesn't matter if you don't see any interest in exchange. I'm making a distinction for you because you keep conflating the two. First, we'll make the distinction, and then we'll get into why it's important.
Okay,
You,
so
when the two people exchange, that's use exchange. Use exchange. What they are exchanging to in terms of marketplace activity, that is exchange value. Like my iPhone. If I find two of your pencils worth one of my iPhone, that's fine. What he's saying, that's fine. We can exchange that. That's not an issue. He's saying in the factors of production, he's saying what you are exchanging, he's saying is different because number one, we don't find direct use from what we are given directly. Like if someone paid us in apples, we're not finding direct use for that. We're doing that in order to gain access to a marketplace. And he's saying we're doing that. And when we do that, we're always giving more in terms of what we're producing than what we are given. That's just a fact of the matter that he's pointing out.
not necessarily. Okay, so the metric that you're using is like you can dictate more. Like, it's presupposing the metric of like exchange values. I don't know why I should care about. I don't know why I should care if you
Huh?
produce more than you're receiving. I don't know why I should care if we're isolating the exchange values. Like, how's
But
that unethical? How is
I
it
don't understand
unethical?
what your problem is.
My problem is like the metric that you're using, because you're using exchange values to dictate whether something is like unethical. I'm saying, yeah, we should probably use exchange
No, it's
values
not just
once again.
that. I said like a million times it has to do with the factors of production that he sees an issue with.
The factors of
It's not just
production with
exchange,
respect
exchange,
with the
exchange.
exchange
He's saying
value.
in he's saying in the factors of production, he's saying when you produce, he's saying there's you producing and you're always going to give more than what you receive. And then he's saying there's a problem with that
Okay, how's
because
that?
that only happens because these people have guns.
Wait, so how's there a problem without like appealing towards the life or death situation, which we've already ruled out like 15 times?
Because someone has guns is what he's saying. That's a problem. If I want a
So we are
t-shirt and I
so we
don't
are
have
going
the
back to
ability,
life or death situation.
I don't know what you mean life or death. Are you saying that like water, I have to work for water? Or are you saying someone is protecting their property with a gun in your sense of property?
Oh, so wait, if you're just using guns to like protect your own property, that's not wrong. How is that wrong?
Which one are you saying? Are you saying in the sense that I have a claim, I believe I have a claim towards something? Because then you're just reiterating that you're a capitalist, and that's not a form of justification. It has nothing to do with what he's saying.
Just repeat.
Reiterating that you're just a capitalist
Just,
doesn't do anything.
just repeat the situation where somebody had a gun, because we added it as a
Yeah,
condition
I'm saying
without even getting
if I want a t-shirt, if I want to clothe myself, and the only way I can do that is by going to someone and producing more for them than they're going to give back to me. That's the fact of the matter he's pointing out, and he's saying that shouldn't
wait,
happen.
you're producing more? More what?
More t-shirts than they're going to give to me.
Oh, so you're just like, so you already have t-shirts. Or are you going to
No,
exchange them,
bruh,
or
you're
are you
not
going to
listening.
exchange them with like 15 apples for one t-shirt, and then you're going to give more
No,
commodities, but you value the lesser of the commodities because it's more useful to you?
bruh, I think you're trolling now. I'm saying in the case of wage exchanging for something that's being given, a wage exchange. Someone exchanging their labor power for something. I'm saying when you go to a TJ Maxx and you want a t-shirt, let's say I'm naked and they let me work for them, right? And I want a t-shirt. I'm not going to die if they don't give me a t-shirt. But he's saying I want a t-shirt and I go to the TJ Maxx to get a t-shirt. He's saying that I'm going to inevitably produce more t-shirts than they give back to me in t-shirts. They're going to give me one t-shirt they're gonna pay me in one T-shirt, and they're gonna keep the 9 other T-shirts I produce.
Okay,
That's what he's
so
saying.
you have the ability to make. So, as if you're producing T-shirts, then you have the ability to make T-shirts.
No, you don't have the ability to make T-shirts
Okay,
without their
so it's
factors of
TJ Maxx
production.
that's
That's what
giving you
he's
the
saying.
ability to make T-shirts, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. I don't see an issue.
Correct. TJ Maxx is allowing me to use their T-shirts, and they have an allowance to do that because they have police and a military. That's correct.
Good. I'm glad TJ Maxx has protection.
Yeah, I mean that's like me going up to you, or actually that's like me going to one of your family members. I own a building, and I say, hey, um, I'm not going to accept rent this month, and you have nowhere else to go. And I say, hey, Lucario's family, give me sex. That's the only thing you can give me. And you say, hey, mother, I don't have an issue with that. You both want it.
Yeah, you both want it. Okay.
Yeah, you're just immoral.
That's not immoral. What are you talking about? That's a That's like
Yeah,
all
you're.
transactions. Wait, all transactions involves like compensation. So you're gonna have to give something
Wait.
in order to
Wait,
receive something
if a
of higher
girl,
value.
if
But that's
okay, if
true of giving something because you're surrendering
okay,
value.
Lucario, okay, stay principled, brother. Listen, if you go up to an 18-year-old girl and you point a gun to her head and you say, "Give me sex," is that justified?
Yeah, that's not justified. You established
Why not?
because you established an unjustified claim over property that's not yours. That's her body.
No, but it's an equal exchange, right?
No, it's not. No, I'm not using equal exchange as a. I'm not using. I
She's
don't.
acting
I
towards
couldn't.
something.
I couldn't care
She's
less about equal exchange. It's the fact that
is
you are going to aggress
is she
upon her body. You're going to aggress upon her body when you pull the trigger when she denies, and that's unjustified.
why
You
is it
violated her.
hers?
Why is it hers?
Why is it hers?
Because she appropriated her body first.
Yeah, I don't. If I appropriate something first, or for example, so you're saying whoever was on Earth first has a claim toward the Earth?
No, it's divided. Whenever because it's wrong. It's like you can't like say, look, this is.
What kind of weird principle is this? According to you, if we can find the oldest person on Earth, and if we could find evidence that they appropriate it as theirs, then it would be theirs.
No, they have to like mix their labor with the resource. You didn't mix your labor with the entire Earth, but like let's just say touching the Earth
So
was.
you have to touch
Wait.
absolutely everything?
No,
Like I have to touch every square inch of land?
no, you have to like mix your labor with it, and like you have to maximize your
What does that
you have to
mean?
use it towards like with respect to your utility. But let's even say that you didn't have to do this. Let's say you like just
You
touching
have
the
to
Earth,
mix your
like touching
labor.
grass like made the Earth
That's just
your
like a
entire.
very
But wait, let's just say touching grass was like was sufficient for making the Earth your entire Earth. Even if that was the case, the first person who like appropriated the entire Earth would have to surrender the Earth. He would have to because he would be forestalling the necessary resources from other actors because if other actors came onto Earth and like I don't know maybe he had children for some reason he wouldn't be allowed to forestall like all of properties because right now he's forestalling more than he needs.
why? Why?
Yeah, because it's a necessary condition for the flourishment of those other respective individuals.
So because it's a necessary condition for living, someone should be
Not
able to
not
privately own
necessary
it?
for
That's what you're
living,
saying?
necessary for flourishment.
For flourishment. And by flourishment you mean what?
By maximization of values.
And so you're saying whatever allows people to achieve the most value should be done? That's what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily because like flourishing. That's kind of like a broad definition, but like another definition or like flourishment. It's essentially like living you're living your life as like a rational animal and achieving happiness.
So whatever allows the most amount of people to achieve the most amount of happiness should be done? That's what you're saying?
No, I'm isolating the prerequisites.
I don't understand what's your principle here. You keep using vague words to describe other vague words.
That's actually true. That's just what kind of principle are you looking for?
I'm asking you what for because you said your first principle was flourishment, right? You said flourishment and you said oh no, happiness. And I'm asking what are you trying to
I
get
described
at?
happiness as flourishment.
I know, but I'm saying what are you trying to get at?
I'm trying to get
Because
at
you're saying happiness for what?
because
Happiness to what?
because in like this goes back to like a normative sense. The reason you have a moral entitlement to the earth is because you acquired it first, and the moral
Okay.
entitlement comes from the connectivity towards your life. And so if you have like other actors who are like they're absent of these prerequisites, then it would follow that they should have some sort of like they should have these prerequisites too, because there's the three necessary conditions that I laid out earlier. It's life, autonomy, and property.
And you're saying they should have those things because that achieves happiness, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, because we're committed towards achieving our values.
And so if I could show you that happiness can be achieved at a higher level under communism, then you'd be rejecting private property, right?
No, because I think the acquisition of that happiness contradicts the principles.
No, well, that's an empirical thing. You're saying under capitalism, if we were, you're saying I think we would observe more people being happy when they're given private property rights or all private property rights or certain private property rights, and when they're given this, and that. That's an empirical claim.
But
So
it's not
even
necessarily that
according
they
to your
have to be happy.
system,
No, it's not necessarily that they
e-
have to be happy. It's that they have the prerequisites to be happy as a rational animal.
so it's not an end. You're just saying I value these principles because I value these principles.
Well, I
Doesn't
think
that contradict what you said earlier about every principle being in accordance to some end?
no, I don't remember saying principles or like committed towards ends, but
That's what you said.
wait, wait, earlier when we were
You
talking about
said goodness is in
wait,
accordance to ends.
wait,
That's what you
I think
said.
no earlier when we were talking because like you cashed out like two definitions of principles and like these those were getting conflated earlier. So when we're talking about
You're
like
saying happiness, autonomy, and life is good. That's what you're saying, right?
yeah, those are good.
And you're saying goodness, you said earlier, goodness is towards some end, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So it's only good insofar as there's an end,
Yeah,
which is
life.
happiness.
Yeah,
So
life is like yeah, life
if
is conducive
happiness,
towards life.
so you're saying, no, you're not. You're such a sophist. Now you're
I'm not.
trying to,
No, I swear, I'm not a
you're
soft.
such a sophist.
Look,
You're
it's
not saying
conducive
life
to
is
wait, life.
conducive towards
Wait,
life.
a series of self-sustaining
You're
actions is
saying life,
conducive towards like a
liberty.
series of self-sustaining actions. But it's not only is that like
No,
pathologically true, but
that's not what
it's
you're
also in
saying. You
accordance with
said
my values.
happiness isn't life sustaining. You said, and you made that clear 5 minutes ago. You said that you said freedom, autonomy, and life are good, and good means good towards an end, and towards an end you said was happiness, which means that goodness itself isn't necessary. It can be swapped out insofar as things are achieving happiness. Just like the car can be swapped out insofar as I can show you that a plane gets there faster. It's the same thing for you. So you're not committed to being a capitalist. You're just empirically thinking that capitalism leads to more happiness, and it's wrong. And like you could have to admit that you could be wrong, and so you could be a communist in the sense that empirically you could just be wrong.
Well, no, it's not that I'm evaluating because like there's like two definitions because we made that pretty clear. There's two definitions of like which happiness or even like ethics is being cashed out. I value
Bro, that
the
was so disingenuous. You said life is conducive towards life.
What do you disagree that life is it towards life?
No, that's trivial. That's like saying a chair is a chair.
I
Like
know.
you
I didn't think I'd have to
yeah,
explain it.
that's not no, that's not what you meant. That's not what you said. You made it very clear. You said happiness is the end, and then you said life, liberty, and this achieve that. You said they're conducive, which means to you they achieve that because that's what you said earlier. Like a car achieves getting to the store. It's not. You're not just saying a car is a car or a car gets you to places. You're saying a car gets you to a store. That's why I said it was sophistry what you were saying because you're not just trying to tell me that life achieves life. You're trying to tell me life achieves some end. And so it's the end you care about, not capitalism itself.
The
You
end
care
is
about
flourishment.
happiness, not capitalism.
I feel like I almost preface at the end plus flourishment.
Oh, you're a sophist. Bruh, you care about happiness. I care about happiness too. Let's get along in communism, bro. You don't care about capitalism. You're not a capitalist.
Oh, okay. Well, this is gonna be that's a verbal dispute. But no, I want to tackle. Wait. I want to tackle this. Oh, give me some time. What is the repeat the question? What was the end goal of what? Oh, he's paused.
I'm gonna have to go soon, to be honest.
Um,
That's fair. But just wait,
we were talking for
repeat the
like 3 hours.
question. Wait, give me
Damn.
another chance. Wait, repeat the question.
It's fun talking to you, bro. But honestly, I don't think you're serious in your positions. I think you like very loosely hold positions.
No, wait, just
Uh,
give me another chance. I promise.
I forgot what I said. What was I saying? I'll say it again, bro. Just remind me
I
what.
think you asked like, what was the end goal of
Oh yeah, I
No,
was
we
saying
were on
that
the analogy
because
where the guy like appropriated the entire Earth, and I tried to give like reasons why that would be wrong.
yeah, and you said reasons are towards some, and you were describing wrongness, reasons towards some end. So what I was trying to point out is that you're trying to achieve some end, and the reasons are only like a car to get to a store. And what I was trying to point out to you is that you don't care about the car itself, you care about getting to the store. And so insofar as I can show you you can get there faster with a plane, then you're going to have to disregard the car. In the same sense with your principles about property, you're going to have to disregard property if I can demonstrate to you empirically that property doesn't lead to happiness or fulfillment.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'll probably have to think about that more. I do value the prerequisites, and I don't know why I value prerequisites. Um,
Yeah, that's an odd thing, right?
yeah,
Unless
that
we
is
can
kind
say,
of odd.
like you said earlier, you said, I don't, you said goodness is only towards some end, but just valuing the prerequisites is sort of what I was saying, where I said things can just make value judgments about. But it is weird when it's in accordance to how we should live our life. That I do find weird, using my sense of, because you are going to establish them and you're going to say, I want you to be happy, and I think you should do this, that. I'm actually getting more of what you said earlier now, I think.
No, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
All right, bro. We were talking for like 3 hours, anyways, bro.
Oh, it was
I'm
only
sure
2 hours.
we'll. Are you actually pro-life
Yeah,
or no? Because I
yeah.
seen you on pro-life life. Um, I don't know, bro. Are you young? Are you under uh age?
Does it matter? Like, does it really matter?
I was just wondering. I feel like
I can tell you, like, if it was the case I was under, at this point, I'll just tell you, I am, what day is the 16th? I am 6 days away from my 18th birthday.
uh, damn. All right. I mean, all right, bro. I'm sure we'll see
Alright.
each other.